there folks, welcome you all to yet another vlog of mine. It has been a while, hasn't it, eh? We've not done one for a little bit, people. The last one we did was New Year's Eve, if you can believe it, people. And the main reason for that is I've just been focusing on the game playing, people. I've been enjoying myself on my Xbox and on my PlayStation 5. And I've been doing some recording for the channel, and I've been doing a lot of Dead Space Remake, people. I've been hammering that game on the PlayStation 5. Those that have been following the channel will know that I bought that game on both the Xbox and the PlayStation 5. And we'll talk more about it in a little bit, people. Those astute of you will realise, hopefully, that we're in a location that we've recorded in before, but I am recording slightly differently. So we're not using the camcorder, we're using so we've got a little bit of a new setup, right? So I can do, if I'm not doing like a proper full-on Flagons Up Friday type thing, I can just sit down with my new little setup and really quickly and just do a vlog, or, well, yeah, it'll be a vlog more than a podcast, I guess. But we'll be able to do them sort of ad hocly and just fire into them and throw them up. Now, I've got a number of things I've kind of got sorted. So the first thing was that it wasn't part of the budget plan for this year, but I've ended up with a brand new iPhone 14. And the reason for that is that my iPhone 7 started just dying for no apparent reason. It just would, it would say I had loads of battery power, and then it would just suddenly say I've got none all of a sudden. So it was on its way out. I mean, it's been 6 years, people, since I bought that phone, I think, pretty much. So, you know, if I'm only upgrading my phone once every 6 years, my new iPhone, my next iPhone will be an iPhone, what, 21 or something? Nice. So that kind of instigated a bunch of other things, and I've fallen in love with this iPhone 14. It is absolutely brilliant. I'm using. I mean, I know I could have done some of these things, I suppose, on the old phone, but just having the new device and the new phone, the battery power, it's just uber. Like, I use it and use it and use it, and it's just like, give me more, give me more. You call that usage? Give me more. It keeps screaming at me, people. So it's just fantastic battery power. It runs like a dream. The cameras are awesome. The new motion sort of stabilizing stuff is superb. Just general recording like this is fantastic. I did get one with the extra 256 gigabytes, I think. It was. Yeah, it was. It was definitely the higher. And yeah, so after much deliberation, we've got the new phone. And I've recorded a few bits while I was out running and such like. And in the end, I kind of had this thought of like, there must be some software I can use on the phone so that I don't have to keep putting everything onto the laptop to smelt it all together with intros and outros and nice little backdrops and stuff. And hopefully by the time you're watching this, you'll see that all of this video should be made up in a little tool that I bought from the App Store called InShot. Now, I initially just downloaded the free, and obviously if you get the free one, anything that you sort of put together as a video has got a little InShot sort of watermark in the corner. So I kind of gave it some thought, had to play around with it, and it's really, really good. Although I only tested it with a video that was about 6 or 7 minutes long, this is probably going to be a lot longer than that. So we'll see how I get on with putting it all together with that, but it's fantastic. So what I've done is, like the things I've already created, like my backdrop for putting this image into that sits, so I sit in the middle of all that stuff that I've created, like a little frame if you like. All of that stuff, the intros and outros, all that has been, I use Dropbox to move it all around. I've now got it in my phone. So all of that stuff can be smelted using InShot into this video, and hopefully it's all come out really nice for you. The only thing that won't probably work, or I haven't found a way of doing it yet, is if I'm talking about a game and I want to show you video clips. Well, maybe I will have figured it out by the time I post this up. But if we do them like this, there's a high likelihood that I won't be smelting in video clips and stuff like that as we're talking. Now, the other thing you'll notice is I've bought, one thing that you've not noticed on me before is this little microphone. So what I've done is, because I didn't want to be reliant, basically I don't want to be reliant on having to be up close to the phone all the time. So I've bought this little, what they called, lavalier mic or something. It was only £15. There's a little bass bit that's fit, in fact you can see probably from the box there. There's a little bass bit that just plugs into the bottom of the phone, and then you just charge up the microphone, keep it charged up, and then you just power that up and it auto syncs to it. And hopefully the sound you're getting through is really clear. The only problem I've had with it, and this is the first time I've used it, other than just testing it. When I first took it out of the box, I couldn't get it to turn on. That this microphone to turn on. There's a little blue light that should come on when it pairs, and so it says flash blue and red, and then once it's paired, it almost immediately just goes solid blue, which is on there somewhere. You just can't see it. So the sound quality sounded really good on the little test one that I did when I eventually got it to power up. And the reason it wouldn't power up is because it had no battery charge in it. So I left it charging when I went off for a run yesterday. Yesterday I think it was. And when I came back, it had fully charged. The red light had gone off, which meant charged. Fine. So I switched everything off and I put it back in the box for today. But when I came to use it, it was dead. Like there was no charge in it. I mean, the little base unit's fine because that charges from the phone. But this had no charge in it whatsoever. So I'm going to, just at little points, it depends how long I go on for, but at little points I'm just going to check this. I can't see the light well, really from looking down, so the only thing I can do is look to see if the light on the base is flashing or whether it's, or if it's static. If it's static, it means this is still working. Problem is, if this suddenly loses power, then the video will just have no sound on it. So I hope we don't get to that. So what I did was I've had to delay recording this for about 20 minutes or so, and I've charged it for 20 minutes. So we'll see how long we get out of it for a 20-minute charge. But anyway, there we are. Let's have a quick check. And we are on a solid red light, people. Yes, we are. So we seem to be all right at the moment. So we do have some gaming bits to talk about. I'm really delighted with this little setup. This is a little, well, the two things I bought was, because I have got the main tripod, but I bought a little selfie stick so that I'm not, it's like a little tripod selfie stick. Doesn't go up hugely high, but that's what the iPhone's sitting on at the moment. So if you remember, when I used to record on the phone, I would just hold it and it would get shaky because my arm would start killing me and stuff. So this is superb for just fire up the selfie stick, put the phone on it, plug the microphone in. So the only thing that's going to concern me a little bit is that I'm going to have to make sure, if this thing's losing power for no reason, if it just drains in the box, then I'm going to have to make sure it's charged. If I have, I want to do it ad hocly. I don't want to have, I've got to charge that bloody thing for an hour, you know. So we'll see how we go. But yeah, it was just a cheap selfie stick, all from Amazon. I think the selfie stick was only about £10 to £15 or something. It wasn't very expensive either. And the microphone was only, I'm sure it was 15 quid. And I'm pretty sure if they were on sale, it wasn't a huge amount that was off them. But yeah, super delighted with the quality of the sound coming off of this thing. It's just whether or not it's going to hold its charge. So we'll see how we go. It could be that when I was putting it back in the box, of course, that I've hit the button and turned it on and it's just drained overnight. But the fact that it was completely void of any power whatsoever when it arrived with me kind of suggests to me that maybe this thing just needs to be left plugged in. And if it drains of power, it will just auto charge itself. So we'll see how we go with it anyway. We'll see how we go, people. But I'm loving this little setup. I really am. And we can do this anywhere. But this is the room that I mean, I can sit back now and the sound should be exactly the same to you guys. So there you go. Absolutely delighted with it. We'll see how the in-shot video all comes together. The editing on the phone still does it in 1080p. In fact, it can do 4K. Although I won't put them up in 4K because there's not really any point at the moment. And it didn't take a huge amount of time to render about a 6 or 7 minute video that was me just out running, but I just tried schmelting my backdrop and everything into it, and the intros and outros, and it all worked really well. So the only thing I haven't figured out how to do, as I said earlier, is how to have me continue to talk and put another video layer on top so that you can see the gameplay footage while I'm chatting away, that sort of stuff. I haven't managed to find anything that will let you do multiple tracks like that. But we'll see how we go. If it doesn't do it, that's fine, because I mean it's quite fiddly to do that sort of stuff on the phone anyway, I guess. So anyway, we'll see how we go, people. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the new setup and the new microphone sound and all that sort of stuff. There's plenty of, I think this might well be clearer and have a bit more bass to it than the way that I set up in the living room if I'm doing a vlog, because I have the Rode mic. Although it's a really expensive mic, I tend to, because I can't do it like I did with the podcast and have it close to my mouth, it tended to be further away with a huge sensitivity on it. So it was okay. It was good sound still, but it wasn't quite, it wasn't quite podcasty. So we'll see how we go. We'll see how you guys think. But let me know what you think of the sound and everything that's coming through, and hopefully it doesn't run out of power as we're going through this vid. So we do have some gaming bits to talk about, people. Yes, we do. Some of these are from ye olden days, people. So we're going to do a channel update, and I'm just going to talk about a few bits and pieces as we go along. I mean, I guess, yeah, we'll do the channel update first. So I've been doing a lot of Dead Space, as I said. So none of that. All I did for the channel was I recorded I did 2 episodes on the PS5, and I did 1 episode on, because I bought it for both consoles, and I did 1 episode recorded on the channel for the Xbox Series X, so people could see how they looked. Well, just how it played on your particular console. And to be honest, I didn't find a huge amount of difference. I think I said at one point, I did feel more at home on the Xbox, but that's not the one I've been playing, simply because I've been chatting away to Craigie Boy while I've been playing it, and he's on the PlayStation, so it was just an easier place for me. And that was a big part of the reason I bought it twice. A, because I wanted an excuse to play it twice, and B, it meant that if I did want to do any more recording for the channel, I could do that on the Xbox, and I could just play it off camera while chatting to my mate Craigie Boy, while I was gaming away. So it all kind of worked out nice and perfect. And that has led to, I had no intent, because the minute I saw that Dead Space had an impossible mode, I was like, oh, fuck that shit. Basically you can't die for the whole run through of the game on hard, and it's called impossible mode. Now, initially what I did was, and here's something that you might not know, I bought a little USB pen that had enough space on it for me to, so basically the plan was, when you save it, so you get 1 save slot in impossible mode, and you just oversave that every time you get to a save point. If you die, something happens to that save that says where you died, but you can continue on hard mode, but you won't get the impossible trophy. So what you can do is you can copy each time. It's a little bit painful, because you have to, quit out the game to do it. But every time you do a significant lump, you can save it, and then immediately, the plan for me was to go and copy, because I didn't have PlayStation Plus to use the cloud. So I bought a USB pen, I shoved that in, and the plan was to copy my save to the pen, so that if something happened, I would just copy the one from the pen back to the PlayStation and overwrite the one that said I'd died. And then you don't go all the way back to the beginning of the game, you just go back to the last save that you copied. And that was the plan. However, for some bizarre reason that only PlayStation will be able to tell us, there was, if you're doing PlayStation 4 save data, you can go in and you can copy it to USB pen or the cloud. If you're doing PlayStation 5, they don't let you do it to a USB pen anymore, so my USB pen was completely redundant. So in the end, what I did was I bought PlayStation Plus for just the basic one for a month, which was £6.99, and that seems to be working perfectly. So every so often I'll save it. When you go up to the settings and then go down to the save data part, and then you just tick that you want to save the Dead Space data and upload it. It says, do you want to overwrite it on the cloud? You say, yes, please. Now, the one thing you need to remember to do, it's very, very important if you're going to do this, is you need to turn off auto sync on your cloud syncing. Because otherwise what you do will just, like, the game will upload it automatically. So you turn off your auto sync, and it's in the same place. So just go and look for those settings in the same place. So turn off your auto sync, and then you can copy it up there as much as you like. I haven't had to use it yet, because I haven't died yet after about 6 hours, which I'm really chuffed with. So I'm super happy with the playthrough I'm doing. And I still, in my heart, I want to do it without dying, just to say that I could. But the safety net is there if I need it. But I have every other trophy, people. I have milked it to the point where the only trophy I need to get the platinum is impossible. So the minute I complete impossible mode, the platinum's going to pop for me. And I've not got a platinum since Jedi Fallen Order. I've only got about 5 significant platinums, and the first 2 platinums I ever got were Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2 on the PlayStation 3. I then got Dragon Age Inquisition on the PlayStation 4. I then got Jedi Fallen Order on the PlayStation 4. And if this pops, I'll have Dead Space Remake Platinum. And I mean, that's just, for me, I only ever go for a platinum if it's a game I truly love, and I feel like the game isn't going to get ruined by me going for the platinum. Like, there's nothing worse than having to milk out a platinum that's just sucking all the fun out of the game. And the only other platinums that I've got are ones that you couldn't miss, like some of the Telltale games, like Wolf Among Us and the original Walking Dead game, I think it was, or I think I've got that twice. So I've got 2 platinums for it. Played it on the PS3 and played it on the PS4. So there were games that you couldn't really miss the platinum, if you know what I mean. So I am proud of my 5 though. Well, my 5th is coming. So yeah, so I'm super delighted with it. I've had a great time with the game. I can't recommend it enough if you're into survival horror. It is well worth. I mean, it does. It's weird. It feels like the same game, but it feels different at the same time in a really nice way. So they've done a superb job with it. It was really, really good. A couple of things that I would have changed, like making Peng, just finding Peng a bit more interesting. If you don't know what that is, you'll find out soon enough. Just a collectible that used to be sort of hidden in a quite a cool area. They've done a bit of a callback to it where it used to be, but it was just kind of, there was nothing imaginative done with it or anywhere cool that they could have put it. So it seemed a bit odd. But yeah, I was super delighted. So what I did was I did a medium gameplay, plasma cutter only first playthrough because there's a trophy for doing that one gun alone. So don't use any other gun. Just the minute you pick up another gun, just get it into your store as soon as you can, and then never touch it. For that playthrough, you get the plasma cutter only trophy when you finish that off, and kinesis. You can use your kinesis, that's fine, but just not another weapon. And I then, when I finished that playthrough, I did a playthrough that was just going and getting all the collectibles and all the stuff you needed for all the other trophies, doing the backtracking and all that. But I did that in story mode, the easiest possible mode they had, and I thoroughly enjoyed that experience, because it was the first time I was able to test out all the weapons, because they've made all the weapons much better as well. Some of the weapons I hated using in Dead Space 1 because I didn't find the alt fires very good or whatever, they were great. And I ended up playing through on that, the 4 core weapons that I carry around with the plasma cutter, the pulse rifle, the line gun, and the force gun. And my plan and I had such a blast. Like, I was just annihilating everything. It was I would recommend to anyone to do it the way I've done it. Like, there's no reason to play hard. There's no trophy for hard mode, only impossible. And you have to complete it once to unlock impossible. So you might as well play it on medium. If you want, there's a trophy for medium or higher basically. And then do it on that just to get that trophy, and do your plasma cutter only, and then that's out the way. And then the second playthrough, you can just have an absolute ball with it. I mean, I suppose you could do it the other way and just have the ball first, but you wouldn't unlock them. Well, or you could do it on medium mode, what I did on story mode. But I feel like the way I did it was the most fun way to do it, because I got the plasma cutter only out the way, and then it became so much more fun when I did it with the mix up of weapons and stuff. So my plan for the impossible mode, I haven't got to the bloody force gun yet, but the force gun is going to be my second gun. And I might tap into the line gun. But the force gun, when you've got that leveled up, it is a fucking beast of a weapon. I mean, it literally rips the skin off of the necros. You just shoot the bones away from them. And it pushes them back as well. So if you're in a tight spot, you can just fire it and it'll just push everybody back for a sec. Super. I mean, absolutely brilliant. When I was using it, it was literally obliterating everything. I was struggling to find the pickups that had come out of enemies because everything was just obliterated everywhere. It's like superb. Anyway, so Dead Space. I'm getting there. I'm only about 5 or 6 hours into my impossible play, and I'll probably have full playthroughs about 10. It's about 15 hours, I think. If you know where you're going by that point, I think my first playthrough probably was about 20 hours maybe. So there's plenty to do, but I'm still enjoying it, so I'm quite happy but I'll do it in little chunks. And in the midst of all of that, moving on, people, I've been playing away at a Path of Exile, which, again, I started doing for the channel on, I was kind of like, I don't know, I just got this buzz to play it on the PlayStation 4, and then when I threw the videos up, they seemed to be popular with you guys. People seem to be enjoying them for my little channel, so I just kept going. And I've now just reached a point. This is Saturday, so you're getting one today. You've had it actually. It was at 9 o'clock this morning. You're getting another one at 9 o'clock tomorrow. And I've got another 2 already recorded after that will pop next week. But I've just reached the point where the furthest I've ever been, basically, with this game. Because even my older playthroughs from about 4 years ago on the Xbox, the highest level character I had was 47. And they were sort of at the beginning of the area that we're now in on the last part I recorded. So it's nice now because I'm getting to see new areas that I hadn't seen before. Because I played the beginning of the ass out of that game. The beginning of it, must have played it about 7 or 8 times. I had 6 characters, I think, on the Xbox when I went back and had a look. So anyway, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm having a really good time with it as the Ranger or Archer or whatever they're called. And I feel like it's the most rounded character I've ever made on that game as well. So I'm getting nice positive feedback from you guys saying keep giving us more, keep giving us more. So I am aware of it and I am keeping going. And I don't have any other plans at the moment to do more stuff with the channel until I get sort of Dead Space and stuff out my system, and then maybe I'll be interested. But we've got Resi 4 coming up in March. There's also Wolong Dynasty, or whatever it's called. I'm forgetting the name of it now. Coming out on the 3rd of March, I think that is. Is it Wolong Fallen Dynasty? Yes, it is, yeah. So that's coming out on at the beginning of March. I haven't got that in my schedule to buy because it's very soulsy and tough, as these games are from that studio. Not that it's not From Software, but that studio is known for making difficult games as well. So I'm not sure about whether or not I will be buying it day one. I'll be interested to see how other folk get on with it though. I'm chewing it over, but I think my next big game is going to be Resi 4. I suppose I could do Wolong on the channel, but I mean, I've still got Elden Ring to finish from ages ago. I can see where I'm stood as well in Elden Ring. So I know I can just fall back into Elden Ring and do some more of that if you guys want to see something like that. So from a channel perspective, that is pretty much it. Oh, I did download. I downloaded it because I kept looking at Vikings Wolves of Midgard, and I kept seeing it, and it is a similar sort of top-down dungeon crawler, like Diablo-esque type thing. And it just dropped in sale on the Xbox, so I grabbed that for next to nothing. I can't remember how much it was now, but it was sort of 10 quid or something maybe. So I got that well on the cheap. So that's sat there waiting for me to give it a go. So at some point I will post some of that up on the channel, even if it's just a few parts, to see if you guys are interested in seeing it. I always was looking at the trailers thinking, yeah, I fancy it, but not at the price that it was at. So looking forward to playing that. So we'll get to that at some point. So that really, yeah, from a channel perspective, that's it. That's where we are. Other things will probably, I will probably throw up a couple of episodes of Resi 4 just to see the beginning of it, and have a couple of episodes on the channel for people that are interested to see how it plays. And it will be on the PlayStation 4 because I still have, PlayStation 5, because I still have this issue with Xbox doing, if you're buying physical, they still don't, if it's a game that's cross-gen, I don't know, no one will tell me whether or not the new version of the game is on the disc, because my history with that was that on day one, I keep telling this story, but on day one of Xbox Series X launch, I took, all excited, Valhalla out of the box, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, shoved it in, and all it did was immediately start downloading a fucking 100 gigabytes worth of new game. So I was really pissed off at that point, then discovered that they were only putting the Xbox One version on the discs in order to use cheaper discs. So I was really not happy with them. So from that point on, over the two consoles, if I'm physically buying a game day one, I've always been doing it on the PlayStation. However, I have got quite into buying digital, but my plan, I still like having my physical collection for the big games I sort of, really excited about. So at some point, my plan is that I'm going to keep buying the physicals, and then at some point when I see them really cheap, years later, I'll pop them on my digital collection, and then I've just got my physicals for display and stuff. So that's my plan. And I've been doing that, like the last few sales that have been on, I've hammered loads of stuff that I've got digitally now that I don't have to come and get from because I've got my massive Xbox 360 collections, my Xbox One collections, my PS4, my PS3, my PS2 stuff's upstairs. So we've got loads of stuff showing off. I like it, people. I like my little displays of Ye games. So yeah, from a channel perspective, let me know in the comments below if you're disappointed that I'm not doing something you're more interested in. I do have every intention of going back to Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. It's something that I keep doing for a while and then go off to do other things and then come back to it. So I have every intention of doing that. And I did actually finally buy that on digital because it did drop finally in price enough for me to say, right, I don't want to put my disc in anymore. So I've got a version of that on digital. I was really tempted last night to buy, I saw on PlayStation 5 there was Elder Scrolls Online High Isle. I'm sure it's called High Isle, is it? Which is basically the base game and all previous packs that came before High Isle for £15. And I was like, ooh, so I jumped onto the Xbox and I thought I'd rather have it there with them being an Xbox studio now. And it was still 45 quid on Xbox. So I'll wait until Xbox have it on the cheap, and then I might give that a go. I tried it years ago, and actually I got quite a lot of fun out of it, but it was I think at the time I probably wasn't in the right zone for it. So I'm quite keen, and that game's come on a long way. I'm really impressed with them. When Elder Scrolls Online was first launched, I was like, that's going to fail miserably. That like it didn't look like it was going to go very far, and they've done a superb job with it, supporting it, building new content for it. I mean, it's just incredible. It's a great story that of a game that was kind of okay at launch, and it's just got better and better and better and better. It's a bit like No Man's Sky. You know, it got so much grief when it first came out, but they've done nothing but give it love and more attention over the years, and it's still one of the best-selling games. I think it won an award like last year. I think it was out midway through the PlayStation 4 life cycle. So there you go. News-wise, these stories are probably a little bit old now because I had intended to do this sort of thing, I don't know, a week or so ago, maybe a bit longer. But yeah, Nintendo have now said that they will. There was a bit of a hoo-ha saying, "Oh, Nintendo are going to." I keep worrying about turning away in case my voice isn't near the microphone. This is the wonder of this thing. Let me just check we're still on a solid. Yeah, we're still on a solid green light, people, which means this must be connected. I've not run out of power yet. I mean, that's actually quite good. I mean, considering I've charged it for 20 minutes and we've done 27. So there we go. Flagging's up to you all, people, although it's a 7-up because it's the middle of the day, people. But flagging's up to anyone who's watching this at a time that is suitable for a flagging. Not to say that daytime beverages aren't an allowed thing, people, but if I have a beer in the middle of the day, I'll be asleep by bloody 3 o'clock, you know what I mean? The only time I make an exception is weddings. You know, if the wedding's at lunchtime sort of thing and everything's done and you get to the hotel and the reception and stuff and everyone's in the sun, and especially if it's summertime, sit outside having a little bottle of Miller or something. Oh, I miss my Miller. I can only get Miller in Scotland. I couldn't get it down here when I moved down here. I really miss Miller. I do, people. I miss it. Tell somebody in the breweries down here to start putting bottles of Miller in the fridges, please. Can't move for Miller up in Scotland. It's superb. Anyway, I digress, people. So yes, Nintendo were making noises about moving to $70 price range. Well, no, people were saying they thought that Nintendo were going to move to $70 pricing for their games, because I think it was because they'd released the price of the new Zelda game, and it was at $70. But they came out, in fairness to them, they came out and said, no, we're not going to do all games at $70. We'll determine the price based on the game. And if you bear in mind that Zelda is, without any shadow of a doubt, I mean, I know they've got Mario and they've got other things, but Zelda, without any shadow of a doubt, is their biggest franchise. That, you know, if you say Nintendo, you're going to say Zelda or you're going to say Mario. But Zelda, for me, is the biggest one they've got. And so I think fair play to them, you know, and I think it's a model that Xbox and PlayStation should also be doing, and those developers that put out on their platforms, because there's a lot of games that suffer from trying to sell themselves at, you know, 60 to 70 quid, and they're just nowhere near the spectacle that people will pay that money for. So no one buys them at launch, and they only buy them in the sale when the sales come around. So I think they're doing themselves a disservice by making them that price. I think the problem is if you don't price them high, people think there's not something wrong with it, but they think maybe it's not a AAA. It kind of flags you as, oh, well, that can't be AAA if it's not 70 quid then. So I think there's this sort of snobbery about price. If it's not that price at launch, then it can't be a great game. So I don't know how you quite do it, but I think this is the model that should be across all platforms. And even, I mean, PC is not a bad place for prices anyway, as far as I'm aware. PC gamers tell me, because I'm not a PC gamer, but as far as I know, Steam and what have you are nowhere near as bad price-wise as consoles. Consoles have always been more expensive for buying games on. So there's the other one as well, other than Steam, is Epic. Is it the Epic Store? So I feel like, you know, that competition between the two and what have you, whatever it is. I mean, I just feel like PC's always been a bit cheaper. Obviously, it went digitally a lot sooner than we have over on the consoles as well. But anywho, the model for me is perfect, and I think I just banged my microphone there, people. Apologies, but I think that model should be used across all platforms. And I think I believe it might happen because I think there will, without any shadow of a doubt, be companies that are going, we can't survive because whenever we make a game, no what we're not a big enough game to get a $70 out of people on day one. And I think you've got to consider that when you're about to push your game out. And I'm talking about your Focus Interactives and all that sort of stuff. Is it Focus Interactive or just Focus? But you know, those sort of games, I feel like they benefit greatly from not going up to 70 just because you happen to be on a PS5. I mean, look, I don't know what the development costs are when it comes to these games and what they're, you know, but there's certainly a big enough profit margin for them to keep making the games. So you've got to think that there's a bit of slack, certainly on games that aren't the stupidly massive AAA budgets as well. So, you know, why should we pay 70 quid for, I don't know, like Dead Space, which has come from a AAA studio, and then pay for Tale Requiem, for example. If you take that game, you can't compare that game to Dead Space. You know, the Requiem's got probably a fraction of the budget that Dead Space had, or a massive title like Destiny, or, you know, the expansions for that. These companies, you know, some of them have got 300 staff, some of them have got 20 staff. You can't, the budgets are different, therefore the cost of making the game is nowhere near the same. So, and you're doing yourself a massive disservice on day one of launch if you're trying to get people that need a push to buy your game, charging them 70 quid because they're not going to pay it. So they'll just wait for the big sale to come. So you'll notice, anyone who was very astute there might have noticed that my microphone might have moved a little bit. There might have been a little splice in the video. I'd actually finished the video, which was probably another sort of 5-10 minutes from where we are now, and I checked the little light on the top and the microphone had turned off. So 20 minutes of a charge did all right, to be fair to it, because I think that was probably about half an hour, 33 minutes maybe, somewhere like that. So 20 minutes of a charge on that got me about half an hour's worth of recording time. So I suspect the hour that it charged up for last time is what I want. That would suggest maybe that the microphone can last for well, I don't know actually, for 20 minutes, maybe an hour and a half or something like that. I don't know though, it might only be an hour. I'm going to have to properly test it somehow to see. I might have a look at it on Amazon again and just see if it says anywhere what the battery power is meant to be on this thing. But anyway, so I'm just doing this all over again. For you, it's the first time, people. It's all fresh. What about the legs? They're fresh. So there you go, people. I think that is definitely the model that should be used again over all platforms, really, because I think it will do a huge amount of justice to those smaller games, because more people will be tempted to buy them day one. You get much better figures, you get much more chance to make a second and such like. And I wasn't picking on Requiem. It's a gorgeous, beautiful game, but it isn't a AAA title. You know, it's nowhere near the budget level that something like a Dead Space or, you know, something is. So yeah, I think it's only fair that you reflect that in your game prices. But anyway, we shall see what happens, people, as we roll forward. But I think something's got to give. I think Games Pass is probably sort of taking the sting out of a lot of these smaller devs, because a lot of them sort of tap into that. Because I think if you make a deal with Microsoft to be on Game Pass, I think you'll kind of always break even, kind of thing. So I don't think you're ever going to be losing if you're on Game Pass day one. I feel like that's how it works. I think I heard other people talking about that. And whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. But I feel like there's some massive amount of stability in being on Game Pass day one. But anyway, we'll see as we go forward. For me personally, I think that would be the greatest model, though, to have let the developer decide what the game price is going to be, not just have the platform that you're on say, well, it's a £70 game now, so that's that, you know, because it's for new gen. So I don't know, there'd have to be some sort of fair way of doing it, so you're not outdoing other devs, I suppose, of the same size and stuff like that. But for me, it would make all the difference to those smaller studios that are making great games that people just aren't buying day one. Anyway, moving swiftly on, people, two more bits of news that were from the last few weeks. Hogwarts Legacy finally dropped, people, the Harry Potter game that everybody's been waiting for the last 20 years. A proper I am going to school at Hogwarts game, and it's a proper sort of RPG action adventure. It's been really well received. IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. Metacritic from the reviewers, it was sitting at 8.5 certainly about a week ago, and people like you and me have given it a 9.2, a staggering 9.2 out of 10 people. So it's a superb score that it's got. I think in general terms, I think it got... It was basically, it's a great game. It's fantastic looking. The action's really fun, but I think it lost a few points here and there for the fighting being a little bit repetitive once you've been doing it a long time. And I think the general story wasn't anything hugely different or interesting that we've not seen before in some other game or movie. So I think it was just sort of a bit of a lack of imagination there. But from a gaming standpoint, from a game, I mean, I think they've done a superb job with it by the looks of it. I haven't played it yet, but all of what I've seen and all of the footage that I've seen, I think it looks like they've done a cracking job with it. They had a massive patch out on day one. They've continued to support it since. So yeah, my tip of the hat to that studio for making what looks like a superb Harry Potter game finally after all these years, people. And everybody loves being in that Harry Potter universe. It's just a wonderful place to be. And it's kind of that all-inclusive, kind of encompassing school, like it's the safety of school with the dangers of being a wizard, like I think it's just adults and kids alike. That's what made those all magical, because they just, adults and kids alike, love being in that world and that universe. So yeah, I'm super happy that game is doing really well. I noted they did mention, or the director of the game said, there is no plans for DLC as yet. I think that might change with the popularity of the game, or they might just go on to, Hogwarts something else, Hogwarts Legacy 2 or whatever they decide to do next. But I would be surprised if it's that popular that they don't do some sort of DLC further down the road, because it's one of those sort of games where you think, well, they could certainly get some longevity out of it by putting new story packs in it and adventures and other things to go off and do, and you could certainly make it more of not a games as a service as such, but certainly supported for a fair while over a couple of years. You'd make a fortune if you just sell DLC packs for that game, any shadow of a doubt. Not just story packs either, like, add more spells, add more attack stuff, all sorts of things you could do with it. Anyway, super happy that it's doing really well. Dead Space, the reviews for that, which again was even longer ago, it was sitting at an 89 from the people that review it, that are proper reviewers, and from us, the real people that matter, people, it was sitting on an 8.7 out of 10. So it was done really, really well. And for a remake, I think that's pretty special. I think the original games were a little bit higher, maybe. I'd have to go back and look, actually, but I feel like the original games. But to be fair, you've got to knock a few points down for the fact that it's not an original story. Like they've taken the whole template and just done their own thing with it. But they've done a superb job with it, though. It is really, really good, I have to say. And this is why I've milked it and why I'm this close to getting the platinum, people. Yes, I am. Wulon Fallen Dynasty is out March 3rd. We talked about that earlier. Well, going and watching some of the YouTube vids on that. Very Dark Souls-y type thing. Not from Software, but I keep forgetting the name of the studio doing that. And then interestingly, I saw the other day that Risen had re-released on the Xbox, which is a very, very old RPG from ye old PC/360 days. It might even be, I'm sure, maybe not older than 360, I can't remember, but it might be original Xbox. But I feel like it was 360. But Risen, I think I only ever tried Risen 2. I've never played Risen, but I think I might have done. I'll have to go and check my gamer points, people. But yeah, it's a very ye old clumsy type of RPG from back in the day. It looks very dated now, but there's a lot of love around that game. I don't think the sequels were anywhere near as popular as the original, but it's kind of got a sort of Arcania-esque type vibe to it when you look at what's going on. I mean, I've never played it, but not the original one anyway. But Arcania was one of my favorite. Well, it still is one of my favorite games ever. And it's just, I mean, there's so much about it that's just not polished or right, but just everything about it, I just loved it. I just loved it as an RPG. I just fell in love with it. My clumsy little gem, as I call it, my clumsy gem. And I did a bit of a Let's Play on the channel, didn't quite finish it. I haven't got the plat for it yet, annoyingly, and I'd really like to get the plat for it. But there was some annoying sort of well, not annoying, but I'd have to get some sort of walkthrough to find the discoverables, because the discoverable ones that you have to get a few of the trophies, you're literally just walking on grass and suddenly it says dig. Like there's not, as I remember, I don't think anything comes up and says this, or you have to maybe just wander close enough for it to show up on your radial map or something as a little glow. So it's really like nothing guiding you there. So to find all of those collectibles, and there's quite a few of them, the sort of statue things, I think, and I think there's a couple of things to pick up. So it is possible, but I'd have to get a walkthrough for it, outside, short of walking every blade of grass in the game. So it might happen at some point. I've got a lot of the trophies though. I've yet to play it on the hardest difficulty. And on the PlayStation 4 version, because I originally played it on 360, then I played it on PlayStation 4 because it got a re-release. In fact, did I play it on PS3? I think it was out on PS3 as well. I played it on those two platforms because I loved it so much. Then played it on the PS4. It never arrived remastered on the Xbox for some weird reason, even though that was the first place I played it on the 3. But on the PS5, actually that's true. It wasn't the PS4. I've actually recorded some of it on the channel for the PS5, and because I remember, because it's uncapped frame rate, it shot straight to 60, and it is the most glorious thing to play now that it's at 60 FPS. But when they redid that PS4 version, something weird happens with the cutscenes. There's not many of them, but there's these weird breaks in like story, and it's like there should have been a cutscene there, but there wasn't. You've just arrived at this island or this new area. So I don't know what that's all about. It's never been patched or fixed or whatever. I don't even know if the studio is still kicking around. But superb game though. I got so much fun out of that game, and I will revisit it again at some point. I might even go back and finish the playthrough on the channel. I love it that much. So there you go. It was just a bit. It was a bit of a random one when I saw Risen there. I thought Risen, like they remade it, but it wasn't. It was the original one. I don't know whether they've touched it up or thank you, made it look a bit glossier or what have you. But it's just sort of appeared on the Xbox. So I thought it was worth mentioning as an RPG, people. You can go and check that out if you're an Xbox player. And there you are, people. That is it. That's all I have for you. And it was nice to do this part all over again. Have I still got... We still have a static light, people. So what I did was, after that, after it stopped working, and I noticed, I basically stopped the recording, charged it for another 15 minutes, and then sat back down and just told you the same stuff that I told you at the end of the last one. So I've spliced them together, people. Well, there you go. Let me know in the comments below any of the things I've been talking about. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this new little setup I've got for doing vlogs, which I think is superb, and it'll let us just do a vlog like that rather than having to do too much faffing around and messing around with the laptops and the editing software and stuff. I can do it all on the iPhone. So we'll see how it all comes together when you guys finally see it. I thoroughly enjoyed that, people. Superb. Well, there you are. It has been an honour and a privilege serving for you in this vlog of mine today, and I shall catch you all in the next one, folks. Take it easy. Bye.